onlinasecrets.org, the answer to all your burning questions.
Hello, YouTube! Rizwan here from Toku Secrets, joined today by Anthony Davis and Nathan Dessa.
You?
And we're here to bring you episode 3 of Toku Secrets, which is also coincidentally our third part to the Ressha Sentai ToQger season review we've been doing for the last few days now. Now, tonight we're going to be talking about everything past episode 31 until, give or take, episode 43. Yeah, 43. Sorry about that. Now, when we left off, we had been introduced to a new character named Akira, who was our ToQger 6, in Japanese called ToQger Rokugo.
Yep.
And also we're introduced to the Hyper Ressa mode, which is basically another, like, power-up super mode, battleizer thing. I don't know, what is the Sentai equivalent to that in America?
It's equivalent to a super mode.
It's called super mode?
They're basically called Super Rangers, basically.
Okay. I'm still kind of learning all the lingo for some of the Sentai stuff.
And this one is pretty much like the exact same as the Shinkindra ones. Only one ranger can access it at a time.
Yeah.
Which I really think was lame in terms of Shinkindra, but here it kind of worked. And I can't explain why I think that. It just seemed like it's appropriate that one person wear this freaking golden-plated armor and run around fighting rather than all 6 of them.
Yeah.
Though, before we get on to the actual review, something I've been kind of bugged about since we began, since ToQger got to this point. How on earth is it that Rokugo could wear the hyper mode, but yet they couldn't turn into orange?
Wait, what do you mean?
I mean, okay. So, right in one episode prior, wanted to Tokyo Saints into orange and trade with him. But he was told by conductor and ticket he can't. But yet, Rokugo can take the hyper mode and do that.
Yeah, that made no sense at all.
Like, what's the exclusivity of orange being off limits to the other 5, but yet hyper mode not being off limits to him?
I guess we'll just go with the excuse that we came up with for everything in ToQger in the last video. Imagination!
No, Nathan. You have to do it with feels, okay? Do you understand what I mean by feels?
Yep.
Imagination!
Imagination!
No, it's imagination!
Imagination!
Oh my
god.
Can't do that.
I can see myself, after we're done with ToQger, just randomly during some of their videos, just yelling out imagination like that. Actually, that might become like a catchphrase at some point. Instead of saying, like, there's a simple explanation for it, just like imagination.
Bam.
Anyway, now that we've gotten that little tangent out of our system, let's talk about Hyper Ressa Terminal episode 31, or if you want to be more precise, it's Station 31. Anyway, so the ToQgers are on their quest to find their hometown and also vanquish the Shadow Line, and basically do everything we know the ToQgers to be doing on a daily basis, aside from, eating and whatever. They get a message from their main office called the Hyper Ressa Terminal, summoning them for a meeting with the Rainbow Line president. Now, up until this point, Hyper Ressa Terminal and the Rainbow Line president were never mentioned as far as I remember. I could be wrong about that.
They might have been. It could have been hinted at, slightly when the Applet Changer came in, but I think that's about it.
Yeah, I remember, a slight hint at it, that there's something more than just conductor and ticket as, the ToQger presence, I guess you could say. And I mean, I guess it was kind of obvious given that Akira was working for some group and he had like a ToQger helmet, but he wasn't actually one of them, you know?
Hmm.
So that kind of. We kind of had an idea that this existed, but we were never aware that it existed, if that makes any sense to the viewers. So, clearly, this is a big deal. Clearly, something big's about to happen. So, the gang gets to a Hyper Ressha terminal, which, by the way, is a secret location that changes on a daily basis, given the fact that Hyper Ressha terminal is actually a train. A really big train. Anyway, so when they get to the Hyper Ressha terminal, they disembark to go meet the Rainbow Line president, while the workers all go and begin cleaning up all the darkness that had accumulated from all the previous battles with the saddle line. Now, this is something that's actually really important because over time, that darkness can accumulate and cause significant trouble for our dear ToQger friends. Meanwhile, Marcianus Mork. I hate that name. It's hard to say. It's whatever. I don't actually like the character to begin with.
We could actually just call him Mork, I guess.
I'm gonna call her Mork,
Yeah,
Mork.
and you guys better deal with it because I'm the reviewer.
I didn't. Her name was so complicated, but I didn't even know what her name was. Like, I actually had to ask Anthony, like, a few
Yeah,
later. So
I can't pronounce it either.
Like, I'm trying to figure out what this title actually means. Like, Marciana, whatever. Like, I don't actually know what this title means.
it is apparently an actual word, though, because I did once type it into Microsoft Word, and there was no red line to indicate it was not in the dictionary. So
Hmm,
it's apparently legit.
that's interesting. I type it into Google, and the first thing I get is Marcianus disaster. And it looks like something in London that happened where a collision between two crafts in the river had killed like 51 people. So I'd say that's a pretty accurate name for this girl, not woman, but thing.
That's,
Again, I don't like this character at all. She's really irritating to me.
She's annoying.
I feel like she's a grandma in a sense.
Ugh, yeah.
Like she just looks like a grandma kind of character, and it's not the good, cuddly apple pie grandma. It's that dark, sinister, I'm here to fuck your life up grandma.
well, almost every Sentai usually has a random villain that's just added in at the last minute, and they're usually not really the interesting villains, and some of them can be kind of boring and annoying.
Well,
Oh, this right here. Her name derived from the word using the Scandinavian languages, that Swedish mork and Danish Norwegian mork, basically.
okay, Anthony, I'm gonna stop you right there because you're speaking gibberish because of your mic.
I hate my mic.
Hey, now you're better.
No, I was explaining to it saying that her name is derived from the word dark, using Scandinavian languages, that being Swedish or something.
That would do it.
And she's voiced by Reiko Suzuki.
Anyway, so Mork learns that the Hyper Ressha terminal has appeared and orders Baron Nero to go provide a distraction while C and Zet go try and take out the terminal. Meanwhile, ToQgers are in the station, and Nero and his little monster dining set brothers, who, by the way, brilliant, irritating characters, I must say. They appear, and the Imperial Criner and everything else that goes with it. It's a pretty big fight. During the fight, Wright and the others,
They
they
they use a bus to travel to the next station.
yeah, like I'm trying to remember why would he use a bus. Like I have my notebook down here that there's a bus, and I'm like, wait, why is there a bus again? Okay,
I think it was because, I mean, you just said, like, the ratios were being cleaned, so naturally
Yeah.
they used those.
Yeah.
okay, so that's why. Sorry, I was derping for a second.
Yeah. It's cool.
All right. So, they get to the actual battle and they see, Emperor Z, who's trying to kill a little girl, and right at this point has no more reason to hold back against Zet, and they have an all-out brawl to the death, him and Z. And then Z, why am I calling him Z? I think it's because of Nathan. Zet, as I call him from the subtitles. It's starting to like get really weakened, and Mork comes in and like magics him out of there, and General Schwartz learns that Lita is still alive somehow within the Emperor's body. So it's like a really big episode where things are really happening. Um, Meanwhile, they defeat the Dining Set brothers for the most part. They're not completely gone yet. And Wright uses the Hyper ToQger power to vanquish whatever's left. And everything seems to be good because Sarasado is kind of gone and all's good. However, back at Hyper Ressha Terminal, conductor and ticket tell the ToQgers that as of this moment, the president of the Rainbow Line has disbanded them.
Did we
And
did we see the president of the Rainbow Line in person in this episode?
no, I don't think we did.
Okay, because if we did, we're probably gonna have to take a few minutes to talk about him. But
Oh, we're gonna take a few minutes and talk about him.
yeah,
Then we're gonna take a few minutes and talk about Ticket again. Just saying. Um. So that's pretty much the end of episode 31. 32 is the expected response of everyone wanting, demanding answers of why the ToQger team is getting disbanded. And Wright feels that it's his right to get direct answers from the president. So he and the other four go running through this terminal to go find him. But as they're on their way to the president's office, they see their reflection in a mirror, and they realize they're no longer adults; they're just children. Which is kind of weird because if they look down, they are wearing they're still their adult forms. So that's pretty
Dum
confusing.
dum dum.
Yeah, pretty much. Dun dun dun.
That would explain why Tokyo 3 was all like shy around boys. Not because she was uncomfortable. It's just that she's a little girl. She's not old enough to be able to understand how dating works.
that also kind of makes the bathhouse episode a little bit creepy when you think about it with the fan service. But yeah,
It's like
Oh, we're gonna have some fun talks about that.
I'm just pointing that out. Like
Yeah.
doing fan service with a girl who's supposed to be like 9 years old or something, that is creepy, even by Japanese standards.
Yeah. It. You know what? We're not gonna go there because that just takes me to a place I don't want to go.
I'm just glad that these girls they're just cute. They're not sexy. They're not
Yeah.
like they're just cute.
They're not.
Well,
Actually, if we could go on a tangent again, I haven't seen many Sentais, but the ones I've seen haven't had many like really hot or sexy women. It's mostly like the cute, the adorable, the doll. Look at that one. She's so adorable with the, whatever demeanor they have.
yeah, that's
So,
it.
Yeah.
Wait, you don't even think about that about Luca?
not really. I think Luca's just a badass.
Yeah, Luca's a badass.
Luca's nowhere near the definition of like sexy. She fits the definition of badass more than anything else.
Yeah, I could probably go with that. Yeah, I can't really think, with the exception of maybe a Gohan Silver and Gohanger. There's really no Sentai girls that I actually found like outright hot or anything.
I don't actually know what Gohan's or Silver looks like, so I can't weigh in on that one.
Well, maybe Patrick could vouch for me if he was in here, but unfortunately he's not. So
Anywho, so they meet the president of the Rainbow Line, and as per Nathan's request, let's talk about this guy for a second, because this guy warrants a little discussion. He's a freaking rabbit.
He's a bunny rabbit.
He had. There's something weird about this show, like in a Pee Wee Herman way of weird. And that's. I say that because, first, he got the weird, creepy conductor guy who just yells, "Imagination!" And on his hand is a little puppet named Ticket who insists that he is sentient. And at some points during the show, I want to believe he actually is sentient. But then we get the president of the Rainbow Line, and it's literally a dude standing there in like a. Was he wearing a similar outfit to the conductor? I don't remember.
He was kind of somewhat similar.
And like, I'm pretty sure that he's not technically a rabbit. He's just a guy wearing a big, like, rabbit helmet, I guess we could call it.
It's one of those like fake rabbit helmets you get from like a costume.
Yeah. Like, even though I could tell, because like he sometimes like wears out like on the wrong side, like he has to face it, the right side of his face.
So, Wright just looks at him like,
What the fuck?
What? And he tries desperately to remove the helmet to prove that the president is nothing more than a human, but no, they can't do it. Anyway, so the president explains to them that the reason they are being disbanded is actually for their own good, because the darkness would eventually make them adults forever. It's discovered that they're actually just children whose imagination has saved them from having the darkness consume them, just like it did their hometown of. Hang on a sec while I try to say this name. Subragahama? I think I got that more correct than I did last time.
Yeah, you got it right.
Okay, so next time I gotta say it without any pause. Silence accepted. But anyway, instead of agreeing to allow the disbandment to happen, the Donnie said brothers return, and Akira goes off to meet them. But instead of like just being on his own, Wright and the others continue to fight because it means there's no way to return to his original aids. Even if it means not return to the original aids, he still wants to fight because he feels he owes it to them to continue doing it. And the rest of the team agrees to the same thing, and they go out and help Akira. And they defeat the Dining Set brothers through the Hyper 5 Connection Crash and all the other awesome mech stuff, which we're not going to go into because it's all filler at this point. Sorry, I'm finding the fights in this season a lot more unnoteworthy as we go along because there's nothing really less special about them.
And really, that's just a ToQger in a nutshell. I mean, like, that's probably the reason why we can't really put much filling into this, because there's really nothing special about ToQger at the end of the day. I mean,
there really isn't. And I mean, look, the only thing that really comes out of this episode is the confirmation that there's just children with the imagination that saved them from becoming part of the frozen people that are still in their hometown.
They're basic kids in adult bodies.
Yeah.
They do learn their last names in this episode too, though.
Yeah, they learn their last names at the end, where they remember that when they're looking at the night sky during their star festival.
Yeah.
They're actually singing "Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star," and kind of creepily, Emperor Zet is also singing along back at his own castle. So at this point, I'm kind of wondering what the heck is the connection between the two of them. Because clearly there's a connection here now.
Did we also mention that this is also the debut of the last mecha they get, Hyper Ressha Teo?
No, but now we did.
Okay, well,
I will say that this is the like final one with like all the stupid. This is the one with Hyper Ressha Terminal mixed in, right?
yeah.
I'm gonna go on the record here and say that was the worst mecha I've ever seen ever.
In both TV series and toy form.
Well, again,
And here's why. There is no creativity to how they all fit together. They just kind of slide into like little holsters and they become a bigger mech.
wait. Are you talking about the final mecha combination?
Yeah.
No, we don't see that. We don't see that until later. We see this is just that the Hyper Ressha in its own form.
Oh well, okay,
Yeah,
that's a bit better.
And
Teo.
I actually do kind of like the look of this. It looks a lot better in the show because I've seen the toy version.
I was thinking toy.
Of Teo or of Rainbow?
Teo.
Okay.
And the toy
Teo's
is
okay. I don't mind Teo. It's the Rainbow one that I really don't like at all.
The toy of Teo is just no. But
Is it really? I mean, I haven't seen it.
yeah, like I'm looking at it right now and it's pretty much just a brick. Like you can't even tell that it has legs actually.
That's depressing.
But yeah, as far as like a final mech, I still think Bill Dio is actually the best looking of the four split up. The four just separate mechs, but this one I'll probably rank as number 2. It looks pretty cool.
I'd actually argue that Diesel O on its own is pretty awesome looking.
Yeah, I like pretty much everything except Tokyo to me looks pretty awesome. So
anything involving Diesel O as a primary is really awesome to me.
okay, so
that's pretty much episode 32. Now, unfortunately, again, we're plagued not with insightful story to further the characters like anything, but instead we're given more filler.
Yay.
So, the next episode is essentially the conductor and ticket are starting to notice that the ToQgers are maturing a lot more. Wright and Hikari are beginning to train in karate because they've remembered over time that they used to know karate from Wright's grandfather and out are sparring, and the others are just watching and hanging out. And the entire episode focuses on them just fighting a Sato town with people that do karate, and I mean, it kind of has some interesting development between Hikari and Wright. But at the end of the day, it really amounts to nothing because it didn't really change anything afterwards.
It was still a good episode.
It was a good episode, but nothing changed. And this is one of the things I don't like about ToQger, and I know this is our first Sentai review we've done on this podcast, and I know it's like probably not the best one to do for our first time around, but I just gotta say, ToQger is starting to really lose me here. Like, when I was watching these episodes the first time around, I was really losing my interest in the season, and I was really just biding my time until Ninja came out.
Pretty much.
yeah, But if you really want to talk about a bad filler episode, just wait until the next one.
Oh, we're gonna skip the next one.
Okay, but just to kind of
No, we're gonna talk about it for like a split second. Actually, I think no, it's later on. Anyway, yeah. So the next one is Mio centric. Actually, Nathan, here, have it.
I would actually call it Togachi centric because, well, yeah, that's really the only character that the show really cares about. But basically, the basic premise of this episode is that the ToQgers are battling against this billiard shadow, and after Mio helps this just random bystander, the dude, who is incredibly creepy, I should add, falls in love with her, and she is creeped out by him, so she tries to use Akira as a fake boyfriend so that she can fake that, it's pretty much one of those typical stories where, like, this guy likes this girl, but the girl doesn't like the guy, so she's using a guy to be her boyfriend to keep this guy off her. You know, I guess you could kind of say that it's kind of like that episode of Power Rangers in Space where Ashley uses Carlos to be her boyfriend so that her grandmother will stop bothering her.
Yeah, I remember that
Yeah.
episode.
But and that's pretty much and pretty much the episode is just them following Akira and Mio around while they're pretending to be on a date. Akira is just acting really serious all throughout the entire episode, which, you know, is and he doesn't even know how to go on a date, which I guess is kind of funny, but
Actually, I find the entire thing really hilarious, but at the same time, I didn't like the episode. The only reason I would like the episode is because of Akira's role in it. Otherwise, this episode can go down in a fire.
and it also kind of continues on to show that Togashi has feelings for Mio since he gets really angry throughout the entire episode. And apparently, like in this episode, Wright was about to use the Hyper Ressha, but Togashi literally snatches it out of his hand and said, "Get out of my way!" I mean, he like goes hyper mode, and
Yeah.
And I'm never gonna forget this episode either because I have a friend who, believe it or not, is really obsessed with ToQger. Like, I'm not even kidding. And he messaged me after he watched this episode, and he was all like, "Oh my God, Nathan! Like that the last ToQger episode was hilarious. Like, this is cementing ToQger as my favorite Sentai." And I just shook my head when I watched the episode. Like, I actually, like, after this episode, I actually took a break from ToQger. Like, it really, like, set me off this Sentai. It was really that bad.
I took a break a little bit before Hyper Ressha Terminal happened, and I plowed through until about episode 39, I believe. And then I quit for a while again, and then I picked it up again.
I remember.
But, yeah, nothing really important happened there. Episode 35, the stolen terminal. Stuff begins happening again. Emperor Zet's in a really bad mood because he can't take Leader's light. So Mork and Nero stage an attack on the Hyper Ressha terminal. And the ToQgers come to the aid of the terminal and the president, but they can't break through the barrier, and instead they use the drill to try and break. Wait, do they try and use drill to break through? I think they do.
They don't have the drill Ressha at the moment. Actually, General Schwartz stole it back in 29.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, basically what happens here is that the Shadow Line it comes under no. The Hyper Ressha terminal comes under attack by the Shadow Line forces. So the president decides to allow the ToQgers to combine all 13 of their Reshas to form their final mecha, Tokyo Rainbow.
And this is what the mech I really hate. Gotcha. Moving on.
And the episode ultimately resolves with, first Akira goes after General Schwartz to get the drill Ressha back, but when the ToQgers are getting desperate to get it back, while he's in the midst of a battle with General Schwartz, he literally stops the battle, and we don't get a revelation on what happens until like 3 or 4 episodes later, but basically Akira makes an agreement with General Schwartz, and as a result he gets the drill Ressha back, and that's how they form Tokyo Rainbow.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm gonna agree with Riz, like, this is the worst final mecha I have ever seen.
I know.
Like I said before, this is the mech that basically has all the other mechs kind of line up on it and kind of just attach. Like, no creativity, no ingenuity, just, oh hey, train on my chest, train on my stomach, train on my arm, and I'm good to go.
And while we're on this episode, I do also want to say, I think this is also one of the weaker episodes that debuts the final mecha in general, because the only Sentai that I have watched, no, there's like 2 or 3 Sentais I think that have only done this good. A good example, I think, of a season that introduced the final mecha would probably be Gokaiger, since like them introducing Kanzen Gokaiger was like a really big thing. Like, they were battling against one of the guys who, up until this episode, was like considered the final boss, and they were fighting against this really big machine that established in the last episode was like incredibly OP. So I like that, but with this episode and it just being like a rushed, like final combination episode, I just hate it. I mean,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it to me, it almost felt like another filler episode half the time. I know that it technically debuts the final mecha, but it's still, to me, this episode still wasn't really that special.
It really wasn't. And then the couple of episodes after are also nothing really all that great. I mean, yeah, the next one's one of my favorite fillers because it involves Hikari big time. But at this point, I'm just so tired of filler. I'm really getting tired of filler.
The only thing about this episode that really matters is that could also be kind of considered interesting is that we actually don't see Akira in this episode until the last minute, when like he shows up in Build Dio to help him in the mecha battle. But that's about it.
Well, okay, so just to give a quick recap. Akira has gone off to search for Sato Towns because in a previous episode he made a deal with General Schwartz to get the drill racer back. The contents of the deal weren't revealed at the time, but suffice to say, General Schwartz told him at some given point in time, "You will join me on the Sato line again, and we're going to take down Emperor Z in our own terms." And Akira agrees because they want to get Drill Racer back. So, knowing all this, Akira goes searching for Sato Towns to hopefully find their hometown to help them out before he has to go deal with becoming Schwartz's lackey for a little while.
Pretty
And,
much.
yeah. On this episode, they find a station that has a familiar name. And Hikari realizes that this is the town where their former teacher used to be from before she came to teach them, like... She was a substitute teacher that came from here to teach for a day or two. They remembered her name, remember where she's from, and came looking for her. And what they found is that the perfect, beautiful, awesome teacher that they fell in love with as children was actually a college flunky who was on the verge of, like, flunking out of school, had no motives in life to, like, really become a teacher, had given up on all academia. And Hikari spends the entire episode trying to convince her that she has a dream. She has to hold on to the dream and believe in it. And by the end of it, she remembers her dream of being a teacher, and she's on her way back to becoming a teacher again.
Yeah.
I mean, oh, and the only reason that she lost her drive is because, surprise, there's a Sato monster who was taking away all their dreams and leaving them with nothing.
I guess it's cool. I mean, obviously, since Hikari was like the main character in this episode, I did like it fine, but still, I just have to admit that this was kind of the point where I had literally just stopped caring about ToQger, like, because of all these fillers.
Yeah. Like, there's nothing at all that really helped.
Nope.
I mean, we're getting little nuggets, if you may, of information thrown at us every now and then, kind of enticing us that there is a plot. They're trying to find her home. They're trying to liberate their home and bring things back to normal and defeat the darkness. But I think they fail to convey that really well because they're more concerned with putting out more episodes than they were with putting out a concise and good story to match the needs of what's going on here.
Yeah. Yeah, I can agree with that.
And, I mean, that's basically what that was all about. After this point,
We get a
we get a Takati episode.
Yeah, and the episode was not only bad; it really confused me actually with the whole like apparently it's just like it's all about this. Oh, okay. They're going to a shadow town this time, and they're taught and the keeper of the shadow town is based off of a knight because I think we established in the last review that all of the keepers of shadow towns are like based off of chess pieces,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
and it's all about the ToQgers being forced to take a test, like no, a quiz, and like Togachi keeps on like wondering how he's supposed to answer when he's asked about Mio or something. Like it was a confusing episode, and I could not keep up with it.
Okay, here's the solution to the problem. It's more filler, nothing happens, moving on.
Though I think it was in this episode that we do find out what Akira's deal with General Schwartz was to get the drill Ressha back.
I think that's in the next one, actually.
Oh, okay.
Because I think, maybe?
No, the next episode is actually the movie one.
I don't think we find out about it here. No, it's definitely later on. It's definitely in the Christmas episode.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, no, that episode was a waste of my time. I don't even want to talk about it. That's how bad it was. And again, sorry, but the season has gotten really bad at this point.
Yeah.
And it really sucks too because I was really hoping that this would be kind of pull another Ghost Sager with me, where like I don't like the first half, but when I like watch the last chunk of episodes, I really like it, and I'm just thinking like, wow, where was all this epicness in the first half of the show? But now I'm just thinking, why can we go back to the last few filler episodes because those were kind of fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's bad when you're wishing for a filler from before. Like, why can't we have more Kendama Detective? Can we just talk about that for a minute? That we need more Kendama Detective.
We need serious Kinma detective.
We need Hikari in his Sherlock Holmes outfit, walking around solving crimes. That needs to be like a spin-off right now.
He does appear as Kendama Detective for like 5 seconds in the next episode, actually.
Okay, but my point is, we need a spin-off where all we have is Hikari going around and solving mysteries with a Kendama.
How's that?
I think Toei needs to make this happen. There is real potential there.
There really is.
I mean, like, forget Sentai at this point. Go make a detective TV, so... Hell, call it Space Detective Kendama, for all I care.
Detective Kinma.
Space Seraph Kendama. That would be a huge seller.
You could even take this to like either Kamen Rider W or Kamen Rider Drive, considering how those are both like really big detective series.
Yeah.
So.
But no, we get stuff like the next episode, Let's Make a Movie. And they arrive at this film studio, and they're expecting to see all these celebrities. But instead they find that Satos are making their own movie, which is weird, but whatever. And the actual producer that was actually making the real human movie lost all his crew. So ToQger decides he's going to make the movie instead, and it's really, really weird. And really, really stupid, and really, really pointless, and... Oh wait, more filler.
I will admit that I found some scenes in this episode with typical Kagura moments where she's just so adorable, but
Yeah, but at the same time, how much of it can you really take at this point?
Yeah, like, this was just too much.
the point where she dresses up as a director and she's wearing a fake mustache, that's when the episode lost me, and that's actually in like the first 10 minutes of the episode. So when you lost me at the first 10 minutes of the episode, you're not doing anything good.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's nothing there that really warrants much discussion. I mean, it's just there. It's just filler. It has no purpose at all.
It does have a thing with Akira where like he's forced to like be like one of the I think he had like some sort of like female part or something in the movie, and that's just kind of that's another part where I was like getting really angry because you're pretty much turning Akira into a comic relief character by this point, and
Well, I mean, Akira has been used in the past couple episodes as comic relief for the filler. I mean, Mio dating. Come on.
yeah, but that's just my thing. Like, I think I've told you guys several times that, like, the past few Sentais have turned the Sixth Rangers into comic relief characters, and
Oh, I believe it. I mean, Guy Ikari is a perfect example of it.
that just bugs me. I mean,
Yeah.
I think the Sixth Ranger should always be brought up as kind of like like the original Dragon Ranger, like a unique character with like a cool backstory and someone that like stands out among the Rangers. But when you're making him a comic relief character, that's no.
And even on the Power Ranger side of the equation, you got characters like Eric. You got characters like Cam. You got characters like Quantum. No,
Ryan.
Titanium Ranger.
Yeah, Ryan.
You got Ryan. You got characters that really bring something to the table. Akira brings something to the table. He's really unique. He's really different. But it's wasted potential. It's so much wasted potential that even Saban would know what to do with it.
It would totally give him like
And
more
when Saban
development.
knows what to do with wasted potential, you got a problem because god dang Saban has been
Big problem.
yeah.
All right, so
Anyway, episode 39, things pick up a little bit. Actually, things get really interesting here. We're about to lose Anthony, but he'll come back in a minute. This guy's really bad. So, it's Christmas, and the Sato line typically goes less active during this time because of the amount of imagination increasing everywhere else. So,
As well-
Toku's...
and I think it also might have to. Well, no. As well as imagination, I think people just like having like Christmas being one of the happiest times of the year. It's just impossible for there to have much darkness spread. So that kind of would cause the shadow line to weaken.
Yeah. So instead, we have instead of like a happy Yuletide, awesome Christmas time, we have General Swartz tell Akira it's time to fulfill his end of the bargain, and they got to go attack Zet now that he's at his weakest. So
There,
good.
no, there was actually a point in the episode, like just before the opening theme actually started, where Togachi tried to call Akira, but we literally see like a shot of his hand like hold up his apple changer and just like deny the call. So we're on it. So we're immediately given the hint that something's up.
Yeah. So Takagi tells everyone that Akira has like blocked a phone call. So they go looking for him at the drill race and find a note saying that that they're on their own for a little while, and that he's with Swartz and all that.
Mhm.
And it's just kind of like I don't know, Akira. I wanted to say in the beginning that I thought he was reverting to his old ways because he just seemed really malicious in this episode. Like when they actually meet him again, he's actually kind of evil, but at the same time, he's showing a little restraint, ever so slightly, to protect them, while playing the part that he's meant to play. And to me, that was a little interesting because you got the villain doing his thing, and you got Akira trying to help them out. So, I mean, you know.
I think. Well, it was either no, it wasn't the last episode. It was no. It was actually that Togachi episode that we mentioned a few minutes ago. In that episode, we saw that Akira was like trying desperately to find their hometown very quickly. Like at one point in that episode, like he was literally willing to just ditch this shadow town so that they could go to the next one in search of it.
Yeah.
So I think his goal was that they find their town so that they can just go back to their normal lives before he has to join with General Schwartz.
Well,
so
I'm pretty sure that's what he was thinking. Like, that's the only reason he did that.
So I wouldn't necessarily say that Akira is going back to his old ways. I think he was just like he knew that once General Schwartz like called like brought him on that deal, like said, okay, it's time for you to hold up your end of the bargain. He knew that he would pretty much be forced to betray the ToQgers, so
Mm-hmm.
he wanted to get everything done before he would be forced to. So
Yeah.
I think that shows that he does care about the ToQgers. It's just, well, things just didn't work out.
Yeah. I mean, it's really a nice turning point though, because at this point we see some actual development. I feel not like character development, but like plot development. Things are happening. Swartz and Akira actually break through and get to the terminal castle,
Yeah, Castle Terminal.
and they start wrecking stuff up. The Tokis, after a little battle with Akira, also follow, and they also approach Castle Terminal, and it's like an all-out battle of like just chaos everywhere.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those points where I could say that where I could definitely be asking where was all this epicness before. So this
Yeah,
that like I'll even say that as a Christmas episode, this is probably one of the best Christmas Sentai Christmas episodes I've seen because a lot of Christmas episodes, like I even saw a particularly very weak Christmas episode actually today watching Sentai while I was watching Geki Ranger. Like some Christmas episodes are just really weak one-off episodes. I really like it when there's two-part Christmas episodes. So I'll definitely say that ToQger has a really good Christmas episode actually.
and then you have things like Gokai Christmas.
Let's not. Well, no. I don't want to think about the creepy portrayal of Santa Claus in that episode. So let's not talk about that.
Yeah, well, okay. So, um, back at Castle Terminal, Nor and Nero find out that Leda's taken over Zet's body again, and she had been kind of waiting for this to happen. And due to the fact that as the darkness declined, this is the perfect time for her to do it. And Leda tells her mom she cannot leave Zet's body before he regains his control, and that she had been trying to get free but couldn't. So Leda loses control of her power of the body, and Zet regains control
Right.
and blast Nor out the castle, which is pretty damn hilarious in my opinion.
Ah,
Because I really don't
yeah,
like
that was,
I don't like Nor. Like just honestly don't like her.
she kind of gets on my nerves.
Yeah. And at this point, we see Schwartz's Karaner arrive, and he tells everyone that he recruited what he calls Zalim, but we know as Akira, to kill Emperor Zet because of the weakened state of he's in because of darkness decline, and he easily defeats Tokyo Rokugo despite using up a lot of power, and he abducts Akira onto his own Imperial Karaner with Swartz and Pursuit. Pursuit. Pursuit?
Mm-hmm.
What the hell did I just say?
Yeah.
Dude, yeah, you said it right.
Yeah,
Okay. Words just sometimes don't sound right. It's like you say it and you're like, that's not the right word.
Mm-hmm.
So to see Rokugo falling from the train as Swartz is in pursuit and the Rainbow Line's behind them, and they stop to get Rokugo and figure to deal with Zet and Swartz and all the others later on. And I think we should give the honors of what happens next to Anthony, given Anthony's commentary in the last part, episode 2 of Toku Secrets.
Yes.
So, Anthony, go ahead.
Okay. So they get him on they get Roku on the train, right? And he's like, "Get off me, guys! Don't, yeah, get off me! Like, don't touch me or whatever." he talks and they're like, wait, that sounds familiar. And then he unhinges and lo and behold, it is Zet.
Yo.
I was like, I called that. It was epic.
Well, okay, we can definitely say now that the fandom was kind of correct,
Yeah,
but
it was.
not actually
Yeah.
correct.
It, and I really feel like maybe they did that just to like tease fans or something, like saying, okay, okay, you thought that Zeb was going to become Toku Rokugo? Well, he did for like 2 seconds.
2
So
seconds.
you've gotten your dream fandom. Now set up and let us continue writing this horrible storyline.
That's kind
That's
of
so
a
true, though.
cool.
That's completely accurate.
That's a pretty cool twist, though.
Yeah. So yeah, Zet they escapes like Zet's on the train now, so it's like what do we do now? Zed is on our train, we're kinda defenseless to stop him. But yeah, Lita remanifests and takes over Zet's body again and they separate. Like I think Zet and Lita just separate at this point.
Hmm.
And Lita remains on a train, and Zet returns to Castle Terminal, and Lita and them has a plan on how to deal with this problem. And it's at this point where um, they've another battle ensues, and um, Castle Terminal begins like having these earthquakes, and the ToQgers realize some really, really bad news.
Like some serious, like earth-shattering news.
Literally earth-shattering news. Like, I will say this: they succeeded in their mission in finding their hometown.
And I'll give the writers credit. I actually did not see that twist coming.
I didn't see it
No,
coming.
none of us saw that coming. I was actually really surprised that was what happened. Um, so yeah, the ToQgers' hometown is at the base of Castle Terminal,
Dum dum dum.
which is why we never actually could find Castle Terminal. I mean, not Castle Terminal, but the ToQgers' hometown anywhere else because it was in Castle Terminal, which started in darkness, and they couldn't penetrate the darkness to find it. So at this point, I give it up to the writers. They actually put in one glimmer of hope in this failed season. One glimmer.
One glitter of hope. Huh? Did it?
One glimmer of hope. Just like Zet is hoping for that one glimmer of Signy to accept him.
Exactly.
You see what I did there?
Yeah, I see
Yep.
what she did there.
So, the ToQgers escape after finding the foundation of Castle Terminal is actually their hometown. And they form a plan to reach the satellite terminal in order to free their hometown. But General Swartz stops them to try and reason with them and Akira to stop for Lita's sake. Well, they Swartz refuses to listen, and a fight ensues with him, Baron Nero, and Mork. Um, Mork uses the opportunity to go after Delita to extinguish her, like to get rid of her and restore Castle Terminal to give Zet back his full power. Uh, but Zet regains control of the body and overpowers the servants before overpowering Akira. And he and did I see that right? That right and Zet kind of just cancel out their own transformations.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, they had a big fight. And they just
a big
canceled
fight.
the transmission.
Tokyo Ichigo versus Tokyo Rokugo.
Yeah, like They definitely were fighting, but they canceled their transformations because of the amount of power they're using up.
And
Yeah.
Right takes the apple changer back.
Yeah. Nate, if you want to pick up from here, you're good to go. I'm getting a little tired of talking.
Okay, so moving on with this episode, and this is like the third part of this episode. So we
Yeah,
got
we're on episode 41 to Christmas Battle now.
that.
Yeah.
So we got a three-parter in this. So I give the writers credit for that too.
A,
Um,
a creative three-parter. Who would have thunk it?
Right.
Anyway, go on.
so Wright uses the Hyper Ressha and defeats Zet and defeats Zet as Tokyo Rokugo and takes the apple changer back. So what happens is that General Schwartz arrives and he tries to keep General Z, no, not General Z, sorry, Emperor Zet, held off long enough so that Madame Noir can come in so that he can save Miss Glita because she was trapped inside of him. And what happens is that, actually, this was a big fear that Glita had, where basically her mother died. Basically, what I'm not sure. Like, I think I got this right, but Zet actually transforms to an even more weirder monster form here. Like,
He turns into super demon mode here, dude. Like,
Yeah. Super mode.
scary stuff's going down.
so
And
it's called a Z Shin, and basically what happens is that he's like enraged and he explodes in this darkness, which results in Madame Noir dying.
dun dun
And
dun.
Which I was okay with.
Hey, one less sadder to deal with, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, and with Glita freed, General Schwartz sends her away on his personal Darkliner. And as he watches her leave, he's happy that he was at least able to save her before Zishin comes and kills him as well.
I was
So,
sad by
Dun
this.
dun 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 dun.
This made me sad
So-
actually.
so for the record, the only two members of the two. The only two original villains that we had here from the start of the series now are Galita, who wasn't even a villain much to begin with, and Baron Nero. So
Right.
I guess so much.
two of our major villains were just killed, guys.
By their own boss, may I add.
Mm-hmm.
So it's at this point that the Tokyo's wake up after all the carnage is done and said because they got knocked out from the massive power surge. And Akira's alive, thank God. But he's really upset that he couldn't save their hometown. But the Tokyo's kind of reaffirm and say, look,
They didn't care. They were
we
just like,
don't care about all that right now. We're just happy you're alive. Because you mean more to us than our town does. Because you're really one of us.
It's a pretty
And it's a really touchy moment. I'll give it
Yeah.
that.
like don't beat us again, please.
Huh?
They're like, don't beat us again, please.
Yeah. And then they go have a Christmas party while Lita visits Schwartz's grave. And Zet. Basically, at this point, Castle Terminal gets really dark because the Z-Sin powers gave a huge boost to Castle Terminal.
Oh yeah.
Like, gigantic. Like, the power is through the roof. If Vegeta was there, he'd say it's over 9,000.
Basically.
In the aftermath of everything that happens, Conductor and Ticket give the Tokyo users a New Year's Eve party to kind of deal with the horrible news they've gotten. And
Is this episode 42?
yeah,
And yeah, well, okay, I hate to interrupt, but this episode is basically just the clip show episode, and almost every Sentai has one.
Pretty much.
yeah, this is an episode. It's more filler. Hello, filler. We had
But
epic.
I did like the ending though. The ending
Yeah.
was pretty dope.
Yeah, we'll get to the ending in a second. That
We'll
was
get to the ending when we get to the end.
But yeah, I will say that I think this clip show episode was actually a good one because like I've seen a bunch of as of the recording of this video, I have seen 17 Sentais, including this one, and I think this is actually one of the stronger setups for a clip show episode. Like, because I have seen weak setups. Like, apparently, like one, like the Geki Ranger clip show episode was literally like the Geki Rangers fighting over who gets to control Geki Chopper's mecha, and Geki Chopper's like, what are you guys talking about? You guys have your own mecha. This guy's mine, So,
Yeah.
so I actually like this clip show episode. I'm not a huge fan of clip show episodes in general, but the setup here I actually don't mind.
The setup here is really beautiful. Like, seeing all of them get the letterbox from Wagon to write their letters to their families and going through all that emotion was really, really touching. Though,
Really.
it was ruined by Chakotay trying to steal the thunder and get with Mio.
Ugh.
What we should look on the bright side here, but I think this is the only episode. This is the last episode that's Togachi centric.
Well, we're running out of episodes to talk about. I mean, come on.
Still,
there isn't much left here.
it's it's definitely a blessing though. We won't have to deal with Togachi much anymore. So
Actually, we haven't had to deal with a Chakotay-centric episode all this year. Because the last episode with Chakotay aired on December 28th.
yep.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we've been officially Chakotay free the rest of the season.
Yay!
Hip hip hooray! Hip hip hooray! And I'm really, really lame at celebratory things. Alright, so the last episode we're going to do before we get to the final thoughts and the final finale of ToQger, which is a 3-part finale. It's another filler, but it's actually a good filler because it gives us a backdoor preview to what to expect. Now, in this episode, we get Emperor Zet realizing that he's never going to obtain the light, and Mork is like, well, how can I break him if he's obsessed with the damn light? So he starts to plot something out. Meanwhile, Kagura wakes up from a horrible nightmare where where in the dream her family doesn't recognize her. She's all grown up, and it's a really frightening thing because at this point they're realizing even if they do get their families back, because they disobeyed the president of the Rainbow Line, the families wouldn't recognize them. So even if they do win, they still lose. But
It's some pretty deep stuff.
It is really deep, and I mean, I'll give the writers a lot of kudos here because this is some really deep stuff we're going into now. Because you got to remember, these are children.
Yeah.
These aren't like adults like you and I. These are what, like 9-year-olds, I think.
Yep.
I'd say 10. Not
Yeah.
a 10-year-old.
I'll call right 9, the rest of them 10.
Maybe you could call Togachi maybe 7 or 6.
Or maybe we cannot talk about Chakotay and be done with it.
That works.
So meanwhile, during all this grief from Kagura, their train comes under attack by a dollhouse Sato, which basically overpowers and sucks in ToQger 4 and 5, which is Hikari and Kagura. So Nathan, I will say this right here. You got your drill whist from like episode 17 or whatever, when you're lamenting about how 4 and 5 don't ever work together on anything.
Yeah, and it actually did pay off pretty good.
It did. This is actually a really good filler for it being a filler.
Was.
And one thing, like, I was really hoping, like, that ToQger would do this at some point. I was hoping that they would give us some sort of background on Hikari's Kendama, and this episode finally gives us that. Like,
Yeah, we finally got that. So basically, the short story is, Hikari's Kendama was a gift from his mother, and it's like symbol of him seeing his family again, because it's the only thing he has of like his old life.
Yeah, because apparently, his mom works a lot. Like she's a single parent,
Yep.
and so that every time that she would have to go to work, she would always send him to her grandma, and I think the grandma might have given him the gift. I'm not sure. I think that's what it was.
I think it was a grandma.
Yeah, the grandma gave him the kendama.
Kendama detective. Space
Kendama.
Seraph Kendama detective. This really
That
needs to happen. I don't know. We got to do something to make this happen, though.
that sounds like a good title. Toei's got to make that happen.
Space Seraph Detective Kendama. I mean, I've given you the title, Toei. Make it happen.
Right?
By the way, I'm gonna probably title this episode Space Detective Kendama.
Do it.
It has to happen now.
It does.
Um. Anyway, they get sucked into a dollhouse, and once again, Hikari uses his great wits to figure a way out by using his kendama and I think Kagura Sue to propel themselves out minutes before the dollhouse is set to explode that they're trapped in. And this leads to a really big event that'll shape the next 3, 4 episodes, whatever's left now. What's going to be happening? Basically, everyone is distraught because they think Kagura and Hikari are dead. Because, remember, they're in a dollhouse. This isn't just like a life-size dollhouse. It's like a small dollhouse. So they've been shrunk down. So when they're escaping, they're still small. So it takes a few minutes for them to get back to normal size. Um, but in that time, Wright takes it really badly that they've been killed, basically. And he begins to emit some darkness.
Like some Kingdom Hearts darkness.
Yeah, legitimately, he is emitting darkness. Like, he should not be emitting that much darkness from him. Especially after all the cleansing they've been doing on the train.
Yep. And the only one that actually notices is Akira.
Yep.
Why is it that nobody else notices that?
Well,
I guess because
the only other
Shadow.
the only other two ToQgers that are left are Togachi, and we're not going to talk about him, and Io, who's just there. So I guess they probably wouldn't recognize it to begin with.
You're right. The
Those
two
two
failures
after
are
all.
the two failures are characters were just kind of there watching and like herp a derp a derp herp a derp a derp.
And because Akira is smarter than both of them.
Well, Akira knows the darkness from inside out because he was one of it at one point.
Exactly.
But this is where we stop for this part. As you can see, it's still a really big mixed bag of a little bit of good, a lot of bad. There's a lot of filler. There's a lot of pointless episodes. There's a lot of just really poorly executed stuff going on that is made better by some phenomenal two-parters and three-parters that kind of put the story together that should have honestly been done all season. But we don't get that. We get really bad filler with no purpose whatsoever, and it's kind of irritating.
Like I said, I loved the Christmas episode. Like, this is the first time where we've gotten a 3-part Christmas episode, and
Yeah, that was pretty neat.
I really enjoy that.
Oh no,
but
I did too. But at the same time,
Doesn't
everything
make up for all the
else
bad filler.
it doesn't make up for everything else. We can't forgive. Oh, I mean, I can't forgive all the bad that we've had to endure to get to this one or two good that we've had.
And I think, like, you can always argue that every Sentai is going to have some filler, and I understand that, but the problem with these fillers is that we've seen them before. Like the episode where Akira pretends to be Mio's boyfriend. I've seen that in like 2 Sentais actually. So
Gokaiser had it too.
Yeah, so it like these fillers are just like recycled
And I mean, it's not even like just
plot.
recycled from like just other Sentais. These are common things that we just see a lot of in the world, and frankly, it's getting pretty old now.
Yeah,
Yep.
like
I mean, if they had taken an original approach to it, something a little bit more, maybe if it involved like more of the themes like darkness, lightness, imagination, and all that, it might be more interesting. But there was absolutely no effort put into these episodes at all. It was just, oh well, let's have Mio and some random dude like have a love triangle with Akira, who's like just the most serious dude in the world, and make him a comic relief character for a day.
and again it's really surprising because the head writer of this season, who actually wrote a bunch of these filler episodes too, Yasuko Kobayashi. I mean, she's written a bunch of. She was the head writer on a bunch of really good shows. Like, she was the head writer of Gingamon, Time Ranger, Shinkenger, and Go Busters. Plus, she did a few good Kamen Rider shows like Ryuki, Deno, and Oz. So this is just surprising. I mean, how I understand that a writer might have a few duds here and there, but this is a lot more than just a dud. I
Not too
mean,
many
It
good.
is a lot more.
like,
Not too many to count.
Also, I just did a little quick count up, and of the 47, I believe,
yep.
episodes of ToQger, 13 were done by writers not Yasuko Kobayashi.
So that means she wrote most of the season.
She wrote almost everything except for like maybe I lost count halfway through, but like 11 to 13, about 11 to 13 episodes were written by people not her, which is more or less like 1/4 of the entire season not written by her. But at the same time, those are probably all filler anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not all filler just from the other writers. C contributed more filler than anyone else.
And and yeah, it's just I, I think even Power Rangers could be said that a writer might have a few duds because like Judd Lin, who is currently giving us the season that we are all loving, a Dino Charge. I mean, like he did Turbo, which a lot of people think is one of the worst seasons of Power Rangers, uh, and he also did a few seasons that not many people are fond of. Like he did Lost Galaxy, and he did I think it was the first half of RPM, and I know neither one of you guys like RPM, so
I like RPM to an extent.
well, okay, well we're not talking about RPM here, but uh, so yeah, it's just when I heard that Yosuke Kobayashi was gonna write this season, I had really high hopes but no, I mean, like
The
I think
fandom had high hopes. Everyone had high
Yeah.
hopes. Even those of us that are just now entering Sentai, like myself, had high hopes because we've heard all the good that we could get from Senkenzer.
Yeah, because they're from the same writer. It's like, oh, we got a Shikinger writer. That's gonna be good, But
Because
no.
I haven't seen all these yet, but I've seen Gokaizer, that was pretty good, but a lot of people discredit Gokaizer, Go Buster, and Kyoreizer as good Sentai. And I like Gokaizer, so I could only imagine that if people didn't like these, then this writer must have done something really special for Senkenzer, and therefore, by proxy, that would make ToQger even more special.
Exactly.
But we just didn't get that so far, and I'm not going to dwell on it too much here because we have one more part to go through for the finale. So,
I think I think Kobayashi, which is what I'm just going to call her, she was way too she was being way too adherent to what some of the other Sentais were doing these days. Because, like, in case you haven't noticed, the past two Sentais that she did, Shinkenger and Go Busters, neither one of those seasons really featured a big toy gimmick. I mean, maybe Shinkenger with those discs, but that wasn't really a big thing. And Go Busters didn't have a toy gimmick at all. And and we're we're definitely at that time where Sentai is really trying way too hard to sell more toys because like almost every
Yeah.
Sentai now has a collectible toy gimmick like the Ranger keys, the Goseidra cards, uh, Kyoryuger's Zyudenchi. So this season had the Reshas. So I just think maybe she was maybe at I kind of get the feeling that maybe Kobayashi wanted to do something different, but maybe Toy was making bigger demands on her. I mean, I'm just trying to come up with an explanation to help like fit this all together because it really doesn't make any sense.
Well, okay. Let's take into account the fact that she was the head writer on Gingaman,
Yep,
Time Ranger,
yep.
Kamen Rider Ryuki,
hmm
Deno, Senkenzer, and Go Buster.
And Kamen Rider O's.
Right, yeah, I forgot about them. And also, she had a contributing part in Mega Ranger Go-Go 5 and I think Agito from Kamen Rider?
Yeah, she did.
Yeah. So, of those that I've listed, I know Time Ranger is phenomenal. I know Gingaman was pretty good. Mega Ranger I've heard good things about as well.
Yeah, I've seen it all the way through. It is a good Sentai.
Uh, I've heard really good things about Ryuki. Senkenzer I've heard a lot of good as well. Go Busters, I'm not listening to the fandom on that one because I believe Go Busters could actually be really good. I watched about the first 7 to 10 episodes and I really liked it. So I'm reserving my own judgment, but as of right now, I think Go Busters is actually really good.
So
So I don't
yeah,
know. Maybe it's a fluke. I mean, who knows?
that's just the explanation that I think I want to go with because, like I said, I mean, when you've had all these good Sentais on your writing resume, and then you're just doing all these really lame fillers, I mean, there's just got to be there. There has got to be another reason, a good reason for why you're doing this.
Yeah, and we can only hope that there's something like a good reason for why.
Yeah,
But
My apologies, went off.
I think we're gonna cut it here, and we'll pick up on part 4 later on tomorrow.
okay.
So as always, we are Toku Secrets. If you like what we've been doing here, please comment, like, subscribe, share, and let us know how we're doing and what we think we can do better for next time. Um, so for now, farewell, good night, and we will see you guys later.
See ya. See ya. See ya.
Hey, you! Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos. You can also check out Anime Secrets on Twitter, Tumblr, and Facebook. Do you want more than that? I know you do. Then go to our website where you can see daily updates and articles and exclusive interviews.